Welcome everyone to my latest action figure review, as I have one for the Bandai Tamashii SH Figuarts, and of course it is the other half of the Deadpool and Wolverine release with the X-Men himself, Wolverine. And no doubt this is the one I'm more excited about. It's the first time we're seeing an X-Men join up in the Marvel Cinematic Universe for the SH Figuarts line. And after reviewing Deadpool, of course, this got me even more excited for the Wolverine figure. And no doubt this movie, Deadpool and Wolverine, was probably the film of the year in 2024. So hopefully this figure will live up to the expectations, because the Deadpool one was pretty good. Of course, it's not the perfect figure. It did have its flaws. So looking at the packaging, I guess it's the same as the Deadpool one. So really nice artwork, of course, with the usual logos and stickers. So let me bring in the Deadpool one. As you can see, it's kind of the same. The only difference is the size. And then looking at the side, we have the nice text with the logo of Wolverine at the bottom. And then on the other side, we have the shot of the full figure. At the back, we have the figure in different poses. And I guess we can now take a look at Wolverine out of his packaging. So inside, in contrast to the Deadpool one, we have a blue background compared to the silver. And of course, we have the instruction manuals to show you how to put on the accessories. And here is a first look at the Wolverine figure inside its packaging. So here is the overview look at the Wolverine figure. Of course, very exciting times, as it's the first time in live action. We have the yellow and blue suit as well as his cowl. And as expected with the Tamashii line, a very premium looking quality figure. So here is the first look at the Wolverine for the SH Figuarts line. Just like Deadpool, he finally joins up with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And he is joining at a low point, which is a good thing, because it's been a while since I've been that excited for a Marvel release for the SHF line. My go-to has always been for Tamashii and for the live action characters. So it's kind of like a dream come true to finally see Wolverine in live action form in 1/12 scale. And I know other companies have done it, but just SH Figuarts feels a lot more closer to me, since most of my collection does come from this line. And really looking good in terms of the way they've painted this, the details. And I do tend to say this a lot about new figures, but this is a very premium looking figure, and I'm just really impressed by the way they've painted this with all the details. It does look like it's jumped straight from the movie. I know that it's not entirely accurate. Of course, when he's wearing the cowl, he does have the sleeveless look, but this is based on concept art and early trailers. And I don't mind the long sleeves. I think it was a large part of the movie. It's just that they should have included the armrest head sculpt, because that would have been more accurate. And I know that a lot more people probably prefer the cowl look, but yeah, I just feel that if you wanted the most accurate one to the film, you need the short sleeves, or you should have the armrest head sculpt. But that's not going to take away my excitement for this figure. I do feel that it's a very quality looking one, and in terms of the proportions, I think it's spot on. It's fine. It's not too thin, it's not too small. I know in the promo some people said the head sculpt might be a bit too small compared to the body, but I think it looks all right. And just the overall actual build of it is quite muscular, so I'm kind of impressed by it. And here is a quick comparison next to the Hasbro Marvel Legends version. As you can see, the paint details are very different, of course, for different price ranges. But overall, I do like the SH Figuarts in terms of the colors and just the overall quality of it. But I will do a full comparison maybe later on. And here is a quick look next to his best friend, Deadpool. So this is going to look really good on a display in those dynamic poses and when they're fighting together. So first impressions, I really like this figure. Just wish they had the armrest head sculpt to make it a bit more accurate. So now let's take a look at the accessories, starting off with the different hands. So out of the packaging, we have the relaxed palms. For the first set of alternative hands, we have a pair of open grappler hands. We also have a set of fisted hands. So for the full set of alternative hands, we have the set of ones with the claws, which is the ones you've been waiting for. I guess most people will display their Wolverines like this, and it's a very good looking one. Just be very careful when you place the hands in. You've got to do it very slowly. Just be very delicate in case you break anything. So just be a bit patient when you do this. Don't force anything in. And just the overall look is worth it, because as you can see, this is the one you need in those fighting poses, and probably even better when I place on the alternative head sculpt, which I will get onto. So of course, Wolverine with these claws, you can do all sorts of poses. You just got to take your time with it, and you can get some really dynamic looks. So yeah, that's the first set. And for the fifth and final set of alternative hands, we have another pair with the claws. This time the difference is we have the open grappler hands. So when he's stretching for a fight or grappling, it does kind of change the dynamics of the looks. And the claws are kind of more further apart compared to the original set. And it's always nice to have a bonus look. So let me quickly show you the comparison compared to the original claws. So these ones are more closed in and it has the fisted hands, and some people probably prefer this one. I'm not sure, it really depends on you. I guess the standard ones are the fisted ones, but just to really change up some of your displays, you could of course switch it out, or maybe just use one of each if you want, although I'm not sure if that's entirely accurate. And for the final accessory, we're going to take a look at the alternative head sculpts. So this is the standard one right out of the packaging. As I mentioned, no armrest head sculpt included for Logan, which is kind of disappointing considering this one does have the long sleeves. But as I mentioned, Tamashii Nations were quick to jump the queue and announce this line even before the movie's release. So it's kind of based on concept art. And I do kind of understand, I think the likes of Mezco as well are doing the long sleeves version. And although they do have the armrest head sculpt, but you can see that sometimes it's not always the best thing to release it so early. And I would say that this head sculpt is okay, it's decent, it's probably about 70% accurate. And even in the movie when he puts on the cowl, you couldn't really tell who was underneath. So I think this kind of works. So for the alternative head sculpt, it's something that we don't always see in the SHF line, at least for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So it's always a bonus to have one to have the aggressive head sculpt. And I think this one fits a lot better, especially when you have the claw hands for those fight poses. So yeah, I do like this aggressive head sculpt. I think this is the one that I'm probably going to most likely use for this Wolverine. So this one has probably a better lightness when he has that aggressive gritted teeth. So yeah, this is a nice bonus. It's just that they should have included the armrest head sculpt. But I can throw on the Marvel Legends, and it does kind of sit on, but obviously it's not going to scale. You can see that the head sculpt is too big for this body, so I'm just gonna have to wait for a third-party edition, or maybe one day they'll give us the final battle edition and maybe they'll include the armrest head. So now we can take a look at the articulation of Wolverine, so the movement. So let's start off with the head sculpt, which is probably the most simple. So you can turn it left and right, and there should be a full 360 spin. And you can also tilt the head side to side, and then upwards motion this much, and then downwards motion. And there should be movement on the neck. There is slightly kind of like a turn. And then for the arms, so these shoulder pads are actually connected to kind of the arms rather than the actual body, which is interesting because if third parties want to do the sleeveless look, then it might be a bit more simple, but that is a discussion for another day. So in terms of moving the arms, you do have kind of hindrance when you move them side to side because of the shoulder pads, but in terms of rotation, it's fine. And of course you can move the arms upwards and backwards, no problems. And then stretching them backwards as well is fine. I think they've done a pretty decent job here despite these pads. And then we have the inwards motion. And then for the rotation of the bicep, you can see it's very smooth, and there should be a bicep elbow bend. And then rotation on the hands, and I think there is a hinge as expected. Okay, now moving on to the body. So not much of a turn side to side, it's actually pretty stiff, but you can tilt it side to side like this, and then forwards crunch and backwards as well. And for the waist, there was no movement on the Deadpool one, but it seems to actually work on Wolverine. So round and round, and then forwards crunch and backwards as well. And what I like about the figures now is there is no huge gap when you do this crunch. And then for the legs, I guess pretty simple. You can stretch them side to side, kick them forwards and backwards, or I guess backwards not so much because the bottom does kind of hold it back. So you just got to rotate the leg, and there is a full knee bend, and then a full thigh swivel. And then for the foot, there should be rotation side to side, and there's also a toe hinge. So I guess just like with all SH Figuarts, you just got to play around with the articulation and get him in the right dynamic poses. So now for the size comparison, starting off with the SH Figuarts with Deadpool from Deadpool and Wolverine, as well as an Iron Man from the Avengers. And next is some more SH Figuarts Avengers members with Thor and Captain America. And here it is next to some Marvel Legends Wolverine with the Deadpool Legacy Edition, as well as the Logan version. And next to some more Wolverines from the past with the Toy Biz X-Men 3 edition, as well as the Marvel Legends Deadpool and Wolverine version. And next to two other popular lines with the Jada Toy Street Fighter Fei Long and the Mayfix Zack Snyder's Justice League Superman. So now for my final thoughts on the SH Figuarts Wolverine for Deadpool and Wolverine. Overall, I'm really pleased to have this figure in my collection since it's the first X-Men and Wolverine live action version in the SHF. And really, it's just the paint apps with the proportions and the builds that really sell it to me. I think they've done enough in terms of an aggressive face sculpt as well as the alternative hands. The only thing I'm going to say, just like Deadpool, is Tomashinations made the announcement a bit too early before the movie's release. So it's kind of based on concept art. So this figure is not going to be entirely screen accurate. Of course, with the cowl, it really should have the sleeveless look. And with the long sleeves, it really should have the armrest look, which for some reason they couldn't get the license or they just didn't want to do it. Other than that, I think kind of like Deadpool, it's still really nice to have these in my MCU collection. And so far, it's probably better than my Marvel Legends and the previous ZD Toys one that I picked up. So despite it not being entirely screen accurate with the armrest head sculpts and the short sleeves, I'm still going to give it an 8 out of 10. It would have got a higher score if they included those. And if you haven't already, check out my review for Deadpool, as well as stay tuned for more videos related to the SHF line. Thanks for watching.